Hello and welcome to the Cowboy Chronicles, the Oklahoman's Oklahoma State football podcast. I am your host, Scott Wright, joined by Jacob Unruh. Jacob, it is Monday. We're back at Stonecloud. The best place to be on a Monday, really.
Yes, and I'm going to fully admit this is our second take of this.
It is.
We don't edit this.
No.
But we also usually record this. And somehow we had technical difficulties today.
We failed the first time.
It really is my fault because I forgot the iPad setup we usually have. So it's really my fault.
I'm going with that. I wasn't going to blame you, but
no, it's fine.
Since you're going to take a fault.
It's really my fault.
The really sad part, though, is that we just recorded the perfect podcast.
It was great, and that's never going to happen again.
No.
You know.
So on our Tenacious D, this will be the tribute to the perfect podcast.
Yes, and you know what? It just stinks getting outcoached.
It does.
That's what's happened here.
Outcoached, out-executed.
Out-executed really is what happened here. I've been out-executed. Really it's not good. As
you mentioned, this is our second time taking a shot at this thing, which means that's your second beer.
Here we go,
right?
Everybody.
Not saying that anything bad's going to happen, but if you want to swing by the Sherman Smith Center around 6 o'clock, might be fun watching us interview some players.
Yeah, here we go.
So, anyway. We got to tell the people again.
You got to look at the name
what we're
again
drinking.
Too.
That's right.
I struggled this the first time.
Yes.
Watermelon slice party shirt. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen.
Right.
I sold this really well the first time.
You absolutely did.
It's a sour watermelon
don't try to repeat
that
it.
is not quite sour. It's more just very tasty, really good, crisp drink that I find refreshing. It's like it's super refreshing. Sometimes sours get a little too sour and take away some of that flavor, but this is the perfect balance.
I think you did way better this time.
I did better this time?
Absolutely.
See, I cleaned it up. It's the editing process.
Exactly. Perfect. This is suspended in a sunbeam for me.
Yeah.
As of the last podcast, I had never tried it. It's actually fantastic. I'm glad to have another one. All right. With that.
You never know what's going to happen with us.
No.
So
I
I appreciate our listeners and viewers for sticking with us through all the technology adventures that
we're trying a lot of new stuff this season, and not all of it has worked great.
No, and we tried stuff last year too, and people stuck with us. So I think
exactly.
I don't know why.
So thank you for hanging out and giving us another shot. With that, no winner in the picks contest this week. So these are both our beers. We get to keep them, drink them for ourselves.
That's happened twice today.
But if you would like to win a beer that we will drink for you next week, go into the comment section there on YouTube, drop in your score prediction for Oklahoma State, Iowa State. And whoever is the closest will win a beer that we plan to enjoy thoroughly. Of course, last week, nobody picked South Alabama to win. So this is how we end up with our own beer.
I think only South Alabama picked South Alabama to win.
I think that's about right, yes. Yeah, pretty much nationwide.
They literally could have said nobody believed in us, and we would have said, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Well, we got to talk to Mike Gundy, some very interesting things to process from what he had to say today. We'll get to talk to some players later on this evening. Really looking forward to I'm more looking forward to seeing kind of the vibe of guys coming off, and because, a lot of times all the players walk past us as we're waiting for them to pluck out the few guys that we're going to interview. And you kind of get a little bit of a vibe from guys that are maybe chatting with people, or like Jaden Nixon always has a smile on his face.
Always waving at us.
Yeah, exactly.
Always chatty.
Very media-friendly guy.
Yeah.
Big fan.
And he said he was nervous last week when we talked to him.
Right? So odd.
He was like, I'm so nervous about this. And I was like, wait, why? You're one of the most chatty people.
Yes, exactly. But so we'll get to talk to a few guys. Got an interesting collection of guys, including Talon Shetron, who we'll talk about in a little bit. But some other good stuff. I want to remind you about the Oklahoma State Athletics newsletter at Oklahoman.com. Go subscribe to that. We've got original content that we send out in that. We've been discussing what we're going to talk about this week in the newsletter. I'm really looking forward to where that goes. We haven't written it yet, but it'll be coming your way if you're a subscriber. Last week we made a case for each of the three quarterbacks, and I think that's evident that it's really hard to pick one.
Yeah.
They sort of need to just do it, but that's a conversation for later. With that, anything else before we get to Mike Gundy? Am I forgetting something?
No, I think we've covered everything. I think that we covered earlier.
Yeah, Mike Gundy got not even half an hour. It was cut a little bit short. I think maybe he had somewhere to be. He seemed to be a little bit. Maybe he's got to go watch film on his quarterbacks to try to pick one. Yeah. Based on what he said, I do not expect that to be the case this week.
Nope, I don't either.
I think we'll see all 4-ish series again. we'll see exactly what happens. I think
4-5-2.
yeah,
in the series?
possibly 4-5-2. Feel bad for Garrett Rangel.
I do.
He
I
kind of
still feel bad for that kid.
stuck there at the end of the game. But with that, a lot of interesting things that Mike Gundy said, and you wrote about one of them already, several of them, but the main one I think was the most fascinating.
Yeah.
I'll let you take it from there.
He was
Jacob.
asked if there's minor problems that they know that usually you can be fixed. Can they fix the major problems? And he said there are no major problems, and it blew my mind because I thought, wait a second, But then he went on to explain when he watched the film, he doesn't feel like anything's not correctable.
Right.
Like everything's correctable that he's seen as issues, which I get. But he's got to look at this offensive line and say, how in the world do we fix this?
Right.
It's been a mess. It's very troubling to see the trend that's going with that group. And that, to me, was an interesting answer. I don't think he chose his words well there. A little bit, I think. I think maybe that was not the right way to say that.
Right.
And I think it's caused a lot of angst and a lot of vitriol, and it's ugly right now. And I don't think that was the right thing to say in that moment.
The tough situation he's in with regard to that is, do you say what the fans want you to say,
right,
or do you try to preserve the confidence of your offensive linemen?
Yeah.
And I think he probably went a little too far that direction.
Yeah.
Probably could have landed somewhere in the middle, and gave both groups a little bit something.
Yeah.
I think but he's typically a guy that's going to stay away from worrying about what the fans think or say. So it's not overall a surprise that he went that direction.
And they I think the offensive linemen are going to understand what the situation they're in. We're going to talk to Preston Wilson here in a little bit. He's a guy who's been very open and honest in the past about struggles for the offensive line and himself. So I think we're going to hear that they know what this and they know they need to fix it. So I don't think Gundy had to go that far to that side.
Right. I agree. And I do understand his thinking that you explained in terms of him viewing this as something that can be corrected. The offensive line issues are to a point now that I don't know if they can fix this without major overhaul type changes. And we sort of thought that's what they were doing in the off season. It visibly doesn't look that way. Maybe there's some structural things that are over my head, which is not hard to do. But it doesn't look a lot different just watching live. And the struggles are a long-standing trend now with this group of guys. So it's hard to know whether or not, like a lot of these guys were playing in 2021, and they were a solid offense. But was it Jaylen Warren, who's doing fantastic things now with the Steelers? Was it Spencer Sanders, who had more escapability than any quarterback I've ever covered? Maybe those things were masking the issues that we weren't realizing were going on with that offensive line in 2021. Then last year, they had Sanders helping some. They weren't quite at the same level running back-wise. Things got a little bit difficult for them. Now, they don't have the elusive quarterback. They don't have a guy who's ready to be an NFL running back right at this moment. So I really think Ollie Gordon is on his way that direction. But he's not that guy right now. He's not a veteran guy at the end of his career the way Jaylen Warren was. So I think that they've got a lot of work to do to really correct that, and I just don't know that they can do it in a short amount of time without really, really big changes. As we talked about, I don't expect anything different about the quarterback usage. I still think we're going to see all three. They go into an open week, and then they've got Kansas State on a Friday night. I think you've got to make a decision. You take that flight back from Iowa State on Saturday night. You make a decision right there. I don't know how you make the decision. Gundy made that point to us. Like, how do you? What do you tell the other two guys? Well, you tell them I'm the boss and I got to pick.
Yeah.
And
it's time to make a choice.
Maybe you're wrong. Maybe you're not. I don't know. But you pick a guy You go with him. If you make that decision on the flight home from Iowa State, you've got your open week and all of the next week to prepare, most of the next week because it's a short week because of the Friday game, for that guy to prepare as the number one guy. Because here's the thing, and these are arbitrary numbers, I'm just throwing it out. Let's say that your first team period of practice is 75%. I mean, if you're rotating all three guys, that's 25% of practice for each guy. And that's costing each of those guys a lot of snaps in practice, in games, that if it was just one, they would have seen, I think, a lot more progress at this point. And the sooner they make this decision, the better it is for the offense because they can start moving that direction. A lot of fans worry about team identity and all these sorts of things. I don't think that's a big impact.
The play calling is so similar with all three of them.
Yeah, they know who they are as an offense, regardless of who's at quarterback. I do think that the practice time that these guys are missing out on is the major factor in this going forward. Defensively, it's an interesting week this week because nobody knows the 3-3-5 of Brian Nardo better than the guys up at Iowa State. They're the ones that, I don't want to say they taught him all of it because he was already seeing some stuff and very fascinated by it, and that's why he wanted to go up there and learn it. But he went and talked to them and then went back to Emporia State and implemented it.
Yep.
And he's put his own
really grown and developed that system.
Yeah. He's put his own fingerprints on it, made his own changes, uses his own terminology and some other things. But these guys understand the concepts of the 3-3-5 as well as anybody around. Now you're going to have two offenses going against defenses that their guys understand, and it's I think going to be a fascinating thing. I think it's going to be a difficult thing for Oklahoma State because this Iowa State defense is going to be doing some things that they're familiar with, but not entirely, and there's going to be some wrinkles that they're not expecting. So it's going to be very interesting to see how Oklahoma State reacts to seeing the defense that they've been practicing against so much.
What if it's a matchup where they just go up and down the field with each other because they know what each other's going to do on defense?
They know all their tricks.
They know all the tricks.
Right.
Both teams, and they just sit there and it goes crazy. It's like Texas Tech OU forever ago when it was Baker Mayfield and Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
I mean, what if it's like that?
I'm for it.
I am too.
Sign me up.
It'd be fun.
It absolutely.
It's not going to be like that, but I'm just saying, what if?
Right.
Like, you know, it'd be fun.
It's like did you see the clip of Aaron Rodgers, who before he got injured, this was a preseason game from one of the Hard Knocks things that the DB is like faking like he's going to blitz, and he's like, "You're not coming back up." That's what it would be like. It'd be like, "Oh, hey, that linebacker's getting ready to blitz, guys, right over there.
Yeah.
Keep an eye on him." That's it could be that way.
Yeah.
Or it could also be 8-7.
Yeah.
It's
5-3.
5-3. I can see a 5-3
with a blown save.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Who's the OSU closer that would get the save opportunity?
I mean, it's got to be Rangel.
Rangel
is
the closer at this point.
It's Rangel's the closer.
As of right now, it's Bowman as the starter. Then he goes to the lefty out of the pin.
Yeah, and Rangel's been the short, short reliever.
Exactly.
So he's the closer.
Yep. Exactly.
He comes in for the final 3 outs.
Yes. All right. You wrote a lot about what Mike Gundy had to say, various things. Talked about Deion Sanders and Nick Saban and his views of the portal and all sorts of different things that he talked about. People have to go check that out. We do apologize because this is our second run at this, a little bit cramped on time, so trying to keep it a little bit shorter. But anything else from Mike Gundy other than what you wrote?
I think it was still fascinating that he was specifically asked why Ollie Gordon didn't get going more early, and how he talked about the run game that they're behind a couple possessions, so you can't run the ball. But early in the game, it's 0-0. They don't run the ball at all in the first drive. Right. They run the ball once on the next drive, twice on the next drive. Still a close game.
Yeah.
So you've run it 3 times in the first 3 drives, and I just feel like they've got to establish that more. And Gundy said it too. They've got to establish that run more. But I think the reasoning why it made sense when Gundy explains it is that South Alabama is bringing an extra defender to the line, defending the run. They were they didn't have enough blockers, so they had to go through the air, and they just couldn't get the pass they needed to loosen up. Though I think they had those passes, they just missed the opportunities because Jaden Bray dropped the one. This was not on him. This whole debacle is not on him. Point that out because I know people wanted to blame Jaden Bray there tonight for whatever reason.
Yeah, that was silly.
But it was bad timing there. But I think it would have been a touchdown pass. I think it would have opened things up. Dejon Stribling got hit, hurt. on a pass on the sideline he couldn't get inbounds for that would have been a big gain. They had everything like that just kept going against them that I think would have opened things up. And I just thought it fascinating, that explanation of why it didn't go. But I think this week you're going to see more and more of they got to get all involved. They got to get all involved because if you don't have Ollie Gordon involved, you don't have Brendan Presley involved, what are you even doing?
Right, exactly. And that trend has been fascinating to me through the first 3 games. I don't know that Ollie has ever had more than 2 carries in the first half of a game yet this season.
No, he is not.
Okay. I thought I was right on that.
He is not.
Very limited touches early in games.
And usually the second, third quarter, he doesn't touch the ball at all.
Right, yeah.
Which is
Been
fascinating.
A lot of second half and fourth quarter action for him so far. So very interesting dynamic in terms of how they're using the running backs, how they're rotating them. We'll see how that changes going forward. You mentioned Dejon Stribling. You're going to be writing later this week about Talon Shetron, who we're talking to today. Gundy came out. He didn't really give us a whole lot of detail other than to say that Stribling is progressing.
Yeah.
We'll see whether he's available on Saturday or not. Definitely an important piece of this because he went into last week's game as their leading receiver. Obviously, he's a guy that's being targeted a lot at that outside receiver position. Shetron is a guy that has had some injury issues that have limited him in short periods of time, but he's really got some talent that I think could stand out if given an extended opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, this is a guy that I talked to in high school that was super talented, that he made some good plays today. I know they ruled that one catch incomplete that he juggled on the sideline.
Right.
That was a remarkable play.
Yeah.
That was really impressive. I think the more you rely on him, I think the better he's going to get. Because I liked what I saw from him the other night. I know it sounds like he might have been the issue on the interception. I still was a little unclear what Gundy's explanation on that today to us. But it's stuff he's growing from, and I think he's going to be a big piece moving forward because they recruit him as a guy to be a Tylan Wallace, to be a I don't want to say Blackman, but to be guys like that in this offense. So I think he's going to start getting his chances to do that.
Yeah, and there's a reason that he's backing up Stribling when they have a lot of guys at outside receiver that are really talented. For him to be in that spot, be the first guy they go to. It wasn't like Stribling went out and they started rotating a bunch of guys at that spot. He was playing pretty significantly in that role. So that's an important thing. We'll see how that plays out. And obviously, even if Stribling is back, maybe they try to be a little bit easy on him because it's hard to know what kind of practice regimen he'll be able to have this week. So lots up in the air. We'll see what happens with Stribling. Anything else that we need to get to before we hit the Stonecloud?
I think it's time to crack open a 6-pack.
Let's do it.
We're going to shotgun these, everybody.
That's right. We're knocking it out real quick right now. Number one, we've always had the first one out of the 6-pack every game this week.
I guess I did my homework this time. Sorry, I did my homework this time because we've already run through this.
I should just change them all.
Oh, do it. It'd be funny.
So the first one's always been running game related. I think last week I said would they be over 4.6 yards per carry, bringing the bar way lower. Tough defense. Obviously a rough week that they just had, even though the running backs themselves, and we're only talking about running backs here, averaged 3.9 yards per carry, only carried the ball 17 times combined, but they were at 3.9. I'm saying a tougher defense on the road. Don't know what direction things are going to go. Over or under 3.0 yards per carry for the running backs alone.
Easy, over.
All right.
I thought about this a lot.
Yes.
Over.
Yeah.
Because I think the numbers are getting they're falling because of sacks. When you look at the overall numbers, I think the running backs are going to be able to get more than 3 yards per carry.
I am actually going under. Now, all 3 guys have been really solid. Their yards per carry are up over that 4 range where Gundy wants them. That's really important for this offense. They've just got to figure out how to get them more involved. But this week, I think Iowa State does some things to really keep them off balance. I think that number for the running backs drops below that 3.0 mark. Going to the next topic in the Stonecloud 6-pack. See, I'm having to remember.
Because, we're using your phone to record this one.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's why the different angle. But
yes.
So you usually have your note there. So
the question is, we talked about Dejon Stribling. He was their leading receiver coming into the game. Brendan Presley obviously was the leading receiver last season. Who will be the leading receiver on Saturday?
Again, an easy one. Brendan Presley. Because I think they're going to get him more involved. I think that's going to be one of the goals, is to get him the ball more, quick screens, things like that. I think he's going to get the ball a lot.
I don't disagree with your philosophy there. I have high expectations though for Jaden Bray.
There you go.
After a rough one last week, I mean, he had the one drop. He came back with some really tough catches after that.
Yeah, he did.
Played much better.
He made the hard ones look easier than the easy ones that he dropped.
He absolutely did, and I think that
sometimes that's how it goes.
He bounces back with a strong performance up at Iowa State. I have high expectations for what he is going to do up there. All right, flew over to the defensive side of the ball. As I mentioned before, I should have worked in something special teams.
It's not too late now.
Alex Hale related, but because a field goal could be really big up there. Plus, it's thick grass. It's tough to kick off of. It's an interesting place as far as that stuff goes. But we'll let the Aussie slide on this one. We're going leading tackler this week. Who are you going with?
I went Kendall Daniels last time. That's what I'm going with again. Okay. Kendall Daniels. I'm not changing my answer. I had to think about that one for a second. I really did.
Yeah.
He was down by a lot of the metrics and numbers and stuff last week.
Right.
So I think he's going to have a better week. I think he's going to be more active. I think he's going to get more involved. He plays that rover position that I think, really can thrive. And I know Iowa State's going to know more about that than a lot, but I think it's going to lead to a big day for him.
I can see that. A guy that came on with a really good week in terms of tackling last Saturday was Lyric Rawls. He was second on the team with 9. Colin Oliver led the team with 10. I'm going to go with Lyric Rawls this week. He is seeming to be a pretty sure-handed tackler. We'll see how that goes going forward, but I like him to be the leading tackler this week. All right, with that, now we move to the backside of the Stonecloud six-pack, our draft, and for good reason.
Yes.
Our draft is pizza toppings. The reason is in Des Moines, Iowa, where we will stay on Friday night, is one of our favorite places on the Big 12 circuit, a place called Fong's Pizza, Chinese food pizza.
Yeah, we're talking crab rangoon, egg rolls, General Tso's, orange chicken, all that stuff.
Yes.
On top of pizza, just not like a fusion.
No, not a hybrid type thing. It's just Chinese food.
So good.
Just laid on a pizza on pizza crust.
Yeah, so good.
Spectacular. Like I said, one of my favorite stops on the Big 12 circuit. Definitely the most unique of all the places that we go and get a chance.
It's the only place I've been in Des Moines on these trips.
Yes, exactly.
So I mean, that just shows you how good.
2 locations, and we've hit them both.
We've hit them both. Yes.
So with that, our draft is pizza toppings, and as always, because I'm such a nice guy.
Yeah, you're a nice guy.
You go first.
I gotta take the obvious number 1 pick. Michael Jordan's sitting right there. Ken Griffey Jr. is sitting right there. I'd say Mike Trout, but no one drafted him number 1 for whatever reason. Pepperoni.
There you go.
You can't go wrong with pepperoni.
Nope.
It doesn't matter. You can get it at a really poor pizza place. You can get it at a really fantastic pizza place. You can get it frozen at the store. Get it wherever. It's pepperoni pizza just rules them all.
As a hot pocket?
As a hot pocket, yes. Pizza roll. Oh my gosh, you could do all kinds of stuff.
It always wins.
You could throw it on like a bun. You could just do. You got a top bun, some cheese and sauce and pepperoni, a tortilla. You can do it. It's pepperoni is where it's at.
Big victory. Had to be the number 1 pick.
Yep.
I don't blame you at all.
I win the draft.
You win.
There we go. That's it.
Game over.
Pepperoni, game
all
over.
Right. Yeah. So for my first pick, I'm going to toss in a little something extra to go on your pepperoni pizza. Throw on some jalapenos.
I love it. I love jalapenos.
Pepperoni. Big fan.
Yeah.
Really strong combo there. Two different spices, different levels. Perfect combo.
I love jalapenos.
Big fan of it. Yeah. All right. Number 2, where are you going?
I'm going sausage.
Okay.
But I'm going specifically Italian sausage, like crumbled Italian sausage, because I just love the flavor. You could do so many things with that. You could do pepperoni sausage.
Right.
I like pepperoni sausage mushrooms with some jalapenos sometimes.
Right.
I like sausage with all kinds of stuff, and I think that is another just such a versatile topping for a pizza that I think you got to go with sausage.
I'm always a little bit thrown off sometimes. Some places you go, maybe you're at an event where they just got a bunch of pizzas out. sausage and beef can be confused sometimes.
Yes.
Can be a little bit tricky.
Yep.
Maybe
Yeah.
you think you're getting beef and you get that little extra kick from the sausage.
Well, see, and even
Can
my
be
mom,
exciting.
my mom makes killer homemade pizzas. Like, I love them. So good. She puts cornmeal on the bottom. They're so good. Anyways, she uses the hot, like, Jimmy Dean sausage rolls. And that's fantastic, too. I'm on board with that, too.
Very nice.
Because that's just not like a crazy spice, but it's just really good flavor.
All right, I sort of teased my second pick right there. I'm going back to my childhood with this one. So when I was young, my dad did not like pepperoni pizza. I did not know pepperoni pizza existed because we never ordered it. All that came to the house was just regular old plain beef pizza.
That's
And
old school pizza right
it
there.
absolutely was. His favorite place to get it was Ken's.
Okay.
And his
Love
favorite
Ken's.
style was thin crust. And that is the pizza of my childhood. And I'll still go back to it every
Yeah.
now and then. Fantastic. You know, that Ken's was the really thin, almost cracker
Yeah.
crust. Fantastic. Loved it. And yeah, so it's a core memory for me in terms of pizza.
That's
So,
good. One of my mom's favorite we used to get at Mazio's, Ken's / Mazio's, was pepperoni and mushrooms, and that's a go-to for me sometimes.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
pepperoni and mushroom.
All right,
I
pick
get
number
it.
three.
Number
to
3,
you, sir.
I'm going for a little bit of OSU favoritism here, a little Stillwater favoritism. The Big Country at Hideaway, which I know the Big Country is not actually, I think, here at the Hideaway here. In
Oh,
Stillwater.
yeah, you
it
can get
is?
it here. You
Okay,
can get it here.
can you? Okay.
Yes.
I know they have different selections. of
Right,
some
they
stuff.
do, but you can get the Big Country.
Okay,
above.
you can get the Big Country. Maybe it's the Boz, because of obvious reasons. I think you can't get
Yeah,
the
I
Boz
think
here.
so.
The Big Country, though, with the sliced sausage, the pepperoni, bacon, cheddar cheese,
Yeah.
all that. It's just such a great combo. I like meaty pizzas a lot of
Right.
times, so I think that's just a great combo.
Oh, it's really hard to beat.
And it's Big Country.
It
It's
is.
named after Big Country.
It's fantastic.
It's just a great person.
Yeah.
I love Big Country.
He's
So,
great.
yeah.
Fantastic. All right, so to wrap this whole thing up, I'm trying to remember what my third pick was in the original. I can't even remember at this point. So,
Is it pineapple related?
It was pineapple related. We
was.
didn't even have the pineapple conversation.
We did not. We skipped it because we're on time crunch here, but we
That's
both
right.
like pineapple.
Yes, we do, and so that's what I'm throwing in there for my my final pick. I'm taking that pepperoni and jalapeno from earlier, throwing in some
There you go.
pineapple. Now you've got the sweet with the spicy.
Yeah.
The blend is perfect.
There you go,
Fantastic.
yes.
Big fan. Pineapple is just fine on pizza.
I love
no
pineapple.
argument on
We get it all the
that.
time on pineapple ham. I've done mixing things with it. I love it.
Yeah, big time good.
Yep.
Nothing wrong with it. Never understood the pineapple doesn't belong on pizza
No.
crowd. That's very, very odd to me. Anyway, all right, is that it?
That's it.
I think we're finished for the second time. We apologize to those of you who
Yeah.
missed out on the perfect podcast.
It was perfect.
The first time around.
We're nowhere
We'll-
close this time. Sorry.
We'll try to do better next time. But with that, we thank you for watching the Cowboy Chronicle, and we'll talk to you from Ames, Iowa on Saturday night.